I got to copy and paste it over, right? Yeah. My wife does it. Like they revamped it.
All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Manny Rodriguez with Tacobout Live with Frank and Manny. How you doing this morning, Frank?
Hey, good, bro. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Glad you made it back from D.C.
Yeah, praise the Lord, man. Had an awesome trip and got to hang out with some friends over there as well, and I was instructing at the United States Border Patrol Chaplaincy Academy, which is actually pretty cool. You know, a program that you and I helped start.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
back
yeah.
in the late 90s,
late
early
90s.
2000s.
Yeah. And man, I'm just excited about. Let me turn this off. I don't know why. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm all. It's like a Monday to me.
Oh, yeah, bro.
For some reason.
I was dying just to get a cup of coffee here, man. I needed it bad.
Yeah, it's so I don't know. It's kind of weird. We were talking about that earlier, man. That for some reason it seems like we need coffee to get started in the morning now. Yeah. But no, we were, it was exciting. It was nice. Got to talk with some old friends of ours as well, and then we're already on chaplaincy class 20.
20. Wow.
Yeah, and so it was pretty exciting. You know.
Now, so is that since CBP implemented it? Because I know we had some academy classes in the Border Patrol.
Yeah, no, that's since our first class. Since
wow.
yeah, since our first class. Yeah, CBP has a different numbering system.
Yeah,
but Border Patrol's kind of kept their own.
So it's 20.
Yeah,
wow.
It's 20.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's exciting, very exciting. And they graduated on Friday. I think they graduated 21 new chaplains CBP wide, so not just Border Patrol, but CBP wide. I think they graduated like 15 or something like that. Border Patrol chaplains, and then other agencies were in there as well. Yeah.
Well, that was part of the vision that we would be reaching out with God's word, God's love, not just to Border Patrol agents, but we saw that it would apply to CBP as a whole, and then on to DHS, and
Yeah.
being able to help people out in times of need.
Yeah, it was very exciting, and I really pray for those agents. Again, because our agency, the Border Patrol right now is basically in turmoil, Frank. As far as the border crisis is going. Sadly, one of my good buddies passed away 2 days ago out of Tucson sector, Chad McBroom, real good friend of mine, strong believer in God, and so I know that he's in the presence of the Lord. But at the same time, it's very heartbreaking, Frank, because it was unnecessary. In Tucson, they're seeing about the same numbers that we're seeing over here in Rio Grande Valley and Del Rio sector every day, being exposed every day to COVID, and that's actually what happened. He caught COVID, and I'm assuming it's going to be classified a line of duty death. Most of the COVID cases, most of the agents' deaths that have been occurring in the Border Patrol have been line of duty deaths, if not all of them. Because they're assuming, and rightly so, that they're contracting COVID on duty.
Well, and that says something. Why differentiate a death and a line of duty death? Because when that happens, Manny, we worked hard to incorporate aspects of that line of duty death designation allows the families, his survivors, to get benefits, to get some federal benefits, some peace officer organization benefits, like concerns of police survivors and some of these other entities that are out there. Serving, supporting, ministering to our law enforcement officers. So, it's something that happened. He was, had immediate involvement with people coming across the border illegally. He was dealing with them, as many of our agents are. And sadly, Manny, this has taken on a different dimension because Chad was he was a person who stood on principle and on freedom. He was not just a chaplain, a man who believed in the Word of God, but also stood on principle that Americans have a choice. And so he made a choice not to follow the mandates, and not to get vaccinated. And so now that's being used against him. And it's sad that you get some people that are so much ideologues and have bought so much into the narrative and drunk the Kool-Aid that they will shove that down people's throats, bro, and make a mockery of this man's life and use it to push their own narrative. And so, give the man some respect, give the family some respect at this time.
And I tell people, Frank, I've even shared this over the weekend when after I heard the news. I've been talking to several people since his passing, and I tell people, look, I'm not opposed for vaccination. It's your choice. What I'm opposed to is people trying to impose it upon me.
And that's what I mean by drinking the Kool-Aid, bro. That let people just choose and don't. You just see a full court press. You just see it pushed from every angle, and there's some interesting stuff that came out over the weekend. We were talking about it. Some studies, bro. That deal with the vaccination push and some empirical studies. A lot of data, and they get that sampling group, and they come out with some interesting results.
Yeah, I got an article emailed to me over the weekend. I was trying to pull it up before the program started, and I just couldn't find it on my slews of all my emails that I received over the weekend. But it's an article that came out of Israel. Of a Messianic Jewish believer who's a doctor over there. He came. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we're good. Okay, yeah, we're good. Sorry, we just ran out of sound there real quick. So hopefully,
the devil, bro. It's the devil.
But anyway, he's a There we go. Okay.
Yes. Sorry about that. My fault.
Okay. So anyway, let me get this going again. He's a medical doctor over there in Israel. All right. Good. We're on. We're still on. So sorry about that, folks. My little power boxes kind of went down. But anyway, he came out with an article, and I'll try to pull it up hopefully for the next hour. I'll post it on our website. And by the way, we do have a website, tacoboutitlive.com. So please go over there to our website, check us out. You can follow us on our website. We even have a donate button now. So if you want to help out with the cause, and we have some articles that we're going to be posting here soon, as more articles. And then you can download our podcast, and we'll download the article once I find it as well. But anyway, he came up with this study. All right. I have no idea what's going on with our stuff. But anyway, he came out with this article about that the COVID vaccine, because Israel is like number 3 in the world as far as vaccinations go. And sadly, they're expressing in this article is expressing that the vaccine is spreading the virus.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, bro, because, I brought up a similar article. This is out of a professor from Johns Hopkins University, bro, and the guy's name is Marty McCary. And so he talks about that, I'll just read it. When you get infected with COVID, your body's immune system develops antibodies to the entire surface of the virus, not just the slight protein that the vaccines give you, but the entire surface. And so you get a more diverse antibody portfolio in your system. And so, of course, bro, that's going to be met with some skepticism and some, negativity, basically. But these are men, different studies being conducted. And I'm glad, Manny, that there's still some folks out there with that principle that are saying, look, let's look at the body of evidence. Right. Let's look at this objectively, man. Or subjectively.
Objectively, yeah.
Subjectively would be, they come in with an angle. And
right.
So these
objectively, you got to look at the totality of the circumstances and whatnot at all angles.
Yeah, look at the evidence.
Right.
And so they're conducting these studies, bro. And I'm just glad there's still some people out there that have that aspect of, look, let's just, slow down here a little bit. The FDA takes years and years to approve medications, vaccinations, vaccines, and stuff like that.
Right.
And so,
and again, if you want to take the vaccine, fine. It's your choice. I'm not going to condemn anyone for taking it. I just don't feel comfortable with it. I don't. That's just me. But I if you want to take it, that's entirely up to you. That's just the way I feel about it. Yeah. But this doctor in Israel as well goes on to say almost exactly that what's happening is that a lot of people are not getting an opportunity to build up what's called a natural immunity, and so because of exactly that, what happens once the vaccine once people take the vaccine, your body starts focusing just on that and actually breaking down, kind of sacrificing itself in other areas.
Well, and so this doctor does cite the study from Israel, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which proved that this natural immunity is at least 6.7 times more effective than the vaccine. He called it one of the great failures of our medical leadership that the half of America with natural immunity has been completely ignored when drafting up restriction guidelines and vaccination recommendations. And so,
wow.
And so that's the thing, Manny, that people's choice, whatever. Don't shove it down everybody else's throat.
Yeah,
that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But and talking about leadership, man, what about Afghanistan?
Oh my gosh, Frank, I am so angry. I've never been this angry at an administration, I think, in almost my whole life, since actually I was too young, but anyway, since I remember my father being angry at Jimmy Carter during the Jimmy Carter administration. This guy is just worse. But I've never been so angry in my life at an administration in regards to a complete failure.
Yeah. A
complete military failure. I think one of the greatest military failures and presidential failures in history.
And so let's break it down a little bit, man, because it's easy, and it is a failure. It's dismal, it's abysmal, it's shameful, it's despicable. I mean, you can use all the adjectives in the dictionary, but let's kind of break it down, folks. It's like this. It's as simple as this. And I'll use the analogy of the family. When a family unit depends on, the components of the family, the husband, the wife, the children to be working together, for there to be synchronized mutual desire to prosper in peace and safety, security, with a future in mind.
Yeah.
So you elevate that. That's one example of where when the man or the woman in the family absconds their duty, just walks away from it, just neglects their responsibilities. It breaks down the family. And so in the realm of leadership, where men and women are hanging in the balance, and they require for people to make brave, bold, correct decisions. This guy basically left people on the battlefield.
Yeah, and there's still hundreds of people left over there in Afghanistan, American citizens.
They don't even know the numbers. I mean, come on, the left, loves to cite figures and stats and numbers, and use them, to push their narratives. Well, let's set aside, the agenda and the ideology for a little bit here, and look at the number of people, Americans, men and women who trust their government, who trust, that our system, our society, as it was designed by our founding fathers, that it's going to work. And so Biden and his administration just walked away from all that, bro. And what's even sadder than that, Manny, there is a contrast, because you got that Marine lieutenant colonel, so people are criticizing him, but he basically called out the administration and the Department of Defense, for how they handled that pullout from Afghanistan. And he walked away with 17 years. He could have stayed to the 18th year and gotten all his benefits, talking about benefits and stuff. But he felt that need inside to just call him out, and he walked away from it. And so compare that guy to, like, for instance, the guy with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, man, who goes out there and it just trying to smile and put a happy face on it. My wife and I were looking at that coverage yesterday, and she asked, what is the man smiling about? What is he laughing about? We just left men and women and our allies in the hands of cold-blooded, ruthless murderers, bro. I mean, we all saw that video of those 13 men that were lined up, or those people that were lined up and shot in the head.
Yeah.
I mean, and then they carried out that attack and killed 13 of our fellow Americans, service members, plus a bunch of Afghans themselves.
Right. And I think what really bothers me even more, Frank, is that Biden relied on the Taliban to help evacuate American citizens, right? Yeah. And to actually not to help evacuate, but help with the security of American citizens and our collaborators.
Yeah, that's kind of like telling the wolf not to eat your sheep.
Right.
I mean, it just shows, Manny, what type of people we're dealing with in politics now. Very few people, folks, out there actually have any principle. Very few stand on that principle. And very few will voice opposition to just this overwhelming message and ideology from the left. I just think about the totality of it, that here in our country, we have what I would call, a uniparty, bro. We have an understanding, an agreement, a working relationship between elements of the Democrat Party, who's controlled largely by the left, Marxists, and elements of the Republican Party,
right.
man. We've got these folks who we call, establishment swamp rhinos. They're working hand in hand, and it's either, proactively, very upfront working with them, like our own congressman here, Tony Gonzalez, or, just by not saying anything. And a lot of times I get as angry with folks, Manny, who are not saying anything. Where's our elected so-called conservative Republicans,
right?
Who seem to be silent, not just on Afghanistan, because there's some that, and what I mean by that is, they'll throw out the platitudes, oh, this is terrible, Biden stinks, whatever. But what are they actively doing? They're being silent, bro. They're just throwing out the words, and so. Very few Republicans do I see that are doing something aside from just talking. Anybody can get in front of the camera.
And I saw Tony Gonzalez on Fox News over the weekend expressing his disapproval with the way Biden pulled out. But again, his actions speak in contrast to what he says in the news.
Oh my God!
In regards to everything, basically.
Folks. They'll say, Frank, why are you beating on Tony? Well, I'll tell you why I'm beating on Tony, man. Because what can easily get lost in all this here, Manny, is that we still have a human tidal wave taking place here on the southern border,
right?
man.
And we can't, we can't ignore the border crisis.
We can't ignore it, man. And the problem is only going to be exacerbated. It's going to be made worse by this influx of folks coming in from Afghanistan. Who knows who's coming in with all that bunch? I mean, there was just plane loads of people initially getting flown out, but you know, this talks to something. We kind of touched on that, Manny, is that the character of a man like Biden, bro. What kind of a person who likes the pomp and circumstance, the prestige and the power of having the title of Commander-in-Chief, you know?
Yeah.
But what kind of a leader leaves people on the battleground, leaves people behind enemy lines? And that's why it's totally relevant to make a connection to Tony Gonzalez, our congressman here, bro, because remember initially he started out in the 35th congressional district.
Yeah.
When he signed on to the Federal Election Commission paperwork, he was going to run in CD 35 against Lyle Doggett. And so there was a nice, you know, showy little glory piece that was written by the San Antonio Express News that talked about Tony. You know, look at this guy who's gone for 20 years, and they quoted him as saying, you know, I was gone, I come back. Nothing has changed in my neighborhood. All my family, friends, you know, they haven't advanced. And so I'm going to run to fight for them. And a couple of days after that article was written, bro, he runs over and jumps into the 23rd Congressional District. And so why am I bringing it up? Because that's the vein that runs in these politicians, bro, who say what you want to hear, who say what they think, what they know that you want to hear. They'll speak it,
right?
But then their actions totally, expose what they really are. And so Biden Tony Gonzalez is no different from Biden, bro. He left people behind enemy lines in his home congressional district 35. He left people back there, bro. When he said he was gonna fight for them, and then he ran over to another district. And meanwhile, CD 35 continues to this day in the control of Lyle Doggett, you know, staunch Nancy Pelosi, Democrat. And so we're talking about leadership here. We're talking about the character traits, Manny, of these people who are elevated to in position. Yeah, they may have worked, they may have, you know, checked the boxes and they promote. But the thing about it is that when they're in that position, it's kind of like Spider-Man, bro. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, Frank, is that there's that same vein of abandonment, in the sense that, you know, Tony Gonzalez abandoned his original district, his own neighborhood, his people, where he was from, his friends, and then we look at the Biden administration abandoning Americans in Afghanistan. We really don't even know the numbers. The Biden administration is actually throwing out like, well, there's 100 plus. Yeah. You know, but one American is too many to leave behind. But we're getting reports that there's actually a lot more than that.
And that's what I was referring to, Manny, when I was saying that they love to throw those stats out there. You know, how convenient, basically. It's convenience and also ineptitude, really, that they don't really know how many people. They love to quote the numbers, you know, X amount of gun deaths, at the X amount of whatever. Right. But yet here, you know, when it comes to, you know, actual American lives, American citizens, you know, every platitude out there they've thrown out, you know, leave no man behind, you know, we care for our own. And right now it just shows you that they have totally abandoned not just our fellow Americans, but they've abandoned what it means to be an American.
They have, you know, and those who helped us, you know, I don't know if you've been reading any of the tweets that have been sent out. I read this one tweet that was so touching, bro, that it was a church leader over there in Afghanistan, and basically he's like, you know, we've resigned to the idea that we're going to die, that nobody's coming for us. Wow. And so they continued on with their worship services. You know, a lot of believers over there, Christians, have been martyred, you know, by the Taliban. You know, they're going door to door seeking out people. Yesterday, actually the day before, one of four Afghan female pilots, Safria Pizori is her name, one of four women Afghan pilots that was trained by the United States, collaborating with the United States. She was stoned to death by the Taliban. Wow. And so my question is, where's AOC? Where's her squad? Where are they for women's rights? But you know, Frank, what's amazing to me is that the Democratic Party the Biden administration has been playing this blame game, right?
Yeah.
Biden's been trying to blame Trump, and actually he's not trying to blame Trump. He's been blaming Trump for this mess. And then, but I saw a video, and I'm going to play a clip here real quick by the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. Right? He basically blames these Americans that are stranded over there.
Yeah.
Right? That it's their fault that they're stranded. And I'm gonna play the clip real quick. You let me know what you think. And it's gonna be I'm just play less than a minute of it about what he's talking about in this video here. Let me put it on here real quick.
The airfield. For operational reasons, I'm not going to go into further detail on this. Many people have asked reasonably why we cannot provide a precise number of American citizens still in country. Let me explain. When Americans have come to Afghanistan over the years, we ask them to register with the embassy. Many have left without deregistering. Others never register at all. That is their right, of course, and it's our responsibility to find them, which we are now doing hour by hour. In the days remaining, we believe we have the wherewithal to get out the American citizens who want to leave Kabul. This operation is complex. It is dangerous. It is fraught with challenges, operational, logistical, human. And it's produced searing images of pain and desperation. But no operation like this, no.
All right, I just want to play that little snippet right there. I don't know if you caught his language there. He said that we're trying to find people. You know, there's people who registered and people who didn't register.
Yeah.
Right. And then he says, and then we're looking for people who want to leave.
Yeah.
Afghanistan. So if you read between the lines and you catch that language, Frank, basically what's happening is Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor to Biden, is basically blaming these Americans that are still trapped in Afghanistan.
Yeah, and he uses another word there, which is totally just disgusting, bro. He says, they could have registered, didn't, or didn't. That's their choice, really.
Right.
So how convenient? That's what I'm talking about. See, that's where, we need to get beyond the words, dig down below the surface, man. The choice is convenient for them. It's convenient for the Biden administration because exactly right what you're saying, bro. They are shedding responsibility. Well, it's their choice to register. It's their choice that we know about them, that we don't know about them having gone.
Right.
It's their choice that we don't know, that they're here because they never wanted to register with
right.
us because it's their choice.
Right. So in their logic, like their mind, they want to stay here.
Yeah. And they're blaming them. You're right. But also what a hypocrisy, bro. That it's their choice whether they wanted to do that in Afghanistan, but yet here in America you have no choice. Mandate.
Right.
That's a hypocrisy of it.
Yeah.
That they push these words and this aspects. It's a matter of convenience, and so that's why folks say, Frank, why are you so much against the mask mandate and so much against the vaccination? Because when they're lying to you already, they betray you. They betray Americans. They betray your trust. They betray the principles we stand on. They betray our Constitution. Why am I going to freaking trust you when you want to jab something into my body that hasn't even gone through the 8, 9, 10 years of the normal FDA approval process, bro?
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to. It was what Trump started under his administration. Trump was lied to just like everybody else. Right?
Oh yeah.
They've been lying to us, and it's part of a bigger plan, part of a bigger, push to do something. And sadly, folks, we're at a stage in America right now in our history where very few of our elected officials, very few of our appointed officials can actually be trusted, Manny.
I agree. And then what I found out this morning as well, Frank, I was reading through some articles and looking at some news, and it's amazing to me. Just as much as Biden, when he came into office, got rid of Trump's border policies, not because they were bad policies, not because they disagreed with them, but simply because they were instituted by Trump,
yes.
Right? Simply because they hated him. Well, I was reading this morning and heard this morning as well through some various news broadcasts that they found that information has come out that they found out that Biden was actually he got rid of Trump's May 1st pullout simply because he hated Trump and moved it to September 11th of this year to hopefully maybe celebrate some grand victory against the end, regarding the war, the end of the war in Afghanistan. But we saw that it failed miserably.
Yeah.
Right, because what did he do? He pulled the military out first, which is something you never do. I was in the military, Frank. You were in the military. You look at this operation, and the basic soldier at the lowest level can tell you that this was the worst operation ever. You know, they left over for what, 65 or 85 billion dollars worth of
90 billion was the latest estimate.
90 billion, 64,000 or 65,000 arms, right? Weapons that they left behind.
That's just machine guns.
That's just machine guns.
Yeah, because there's over 138,000 ARs.
Right.
You know, or the M4s actually.
Right.
You know, Manny, as you were talking about that, you know, I just got this image, and you know, you gotta draw it up for people, man. You know, so you're at a park, at a children's park. It's just teeming with children. It's just full of little children, and parents are there. And then all of a sudden you get a report. Hey, the park is being surrounded by sick, perverted pedophiles that want to get your kids.
Right.
And so what does Biden do? You know, imagine this. If all the parents are pulled out, that's his logic, bro.
Yeah.
Let's pull out all the parents. Let's pull out all the security safeguards, and let the children fend for themselves. I mean, honestly, I know it's kind of a sick image there, man. But that's what Biden did, because the Taliban is horrible. They are horrible. They have no regard for life. There's reports of them having shot women and children, pregnant women, shooting them. You know, I mean. And that's what, sadly, and that's what American leadership has done, what our president, this administration has done, and rightly so, Manny. A lot of other nations are disgusted, and they've lost confidence in America. This president and this administration and his allies in the establishment uniparty, the sick rhinos, this is what they've done to America, Manny. They have, in 8 months of this administration, weakened our economic power, weakened our military, weakened our homeland security. They're allowing, you know, at a time when they're pushing mandates, they're allowing millions of undocumented persons to come across with no vaccine.
Yeah, right now there's 2,000 that landed in in Louisiana, I believe.
2,000.
Yeah, 2,000. 2,000. They're calling them refugees from Afghanistan. None of them have been vetted. Not one of them have been vetted. And I want to get real quick. I want to get back to all the arms that were left over there in Afghanistan, because the point that I was trying to make is that even the basic soldier, and if there's any veterans watching, you can tell me, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, we were trained that if you're going to leave any equipment behind, what do you do with it? You destroy it. Yeah. You destroy it, right? You blow it up, right? You dismantle it in some way or another where it can't be used. Like if you're going to leave all these rifles behind, what do? You take the bolts out, right? So they can't fire. You know, so you take the firing pins, you know, whatever.
Or just put them in a heap and throw some thermite grenades on them and just let them melt or something.
So what is this telling me? Was it done purposely? I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, folks, but you know, this was just done awkwardly and weird. You know, that they leave all these arms behind, because now what does this do, Frank? This opens up a doorway for China.
Yeah.
Iran and China both border Afghanistan. Yeah. And so what happens? They leave all these. They have airplanes, Frank. They have jets. Yeah. You know, state of the art weaponry. And so all the Taliban has to do is sell these weapons to China, to Russia, and then they can copy them. They can
reverse engineer.
Yeah, reverse engineer. And that's the word I was trying to remember. Yeah. Reverse engineer. You know, and use them against us and our allies. They put in danger Israel. They put in danger the United States with this border crisis. I just read the other day that over 100,000 UACs have been released into the United States, you know, unaccompanied children, and I hate that word sometimes, UACs, unaccompanied children, because in the Border Patrol, right? In the Border Patrol, unaccompanied children are 17 and below, right? So when we think unaccompanied children, what do we usually think of? Like 10-year-olds, right? 8-year-olds, 5-year-olds, right? But the reality is, folks, is it's all the way up to 17 years of age, and we, in the Border Patrol, we've got many so-called juveniles that were actually adults, right? Posing as minors, right? And trying to tell us they're 15, 17, when all actuality they were in their 20s. And we used to be able to really investigate that, but the Border Patrol just doesn't have any time anymore. So you can imagine, folks, out of these 100,000+ UACs or unaccompanied minors that have been released into the United States, how many do you think are actually adults?
Adults, yeah, a bunch of them, bro. And then as we're talking about all those dynamics, you know, they're pulling from Border Patrol resources, from the manpower, who's already overwhelmed. The system's broken on the southern border. They're pulling them out from processing, these people coming across Mexico. Now they want them to go process these Afghans.
Yeah.
And so, you're already taxing, stretching, breaking an agency. And we hear from Border Patrol agents all the time, PM calls or whatever. They're broken.
Yeah, they're broken. The morale is shot.
The morale, the effectiveness, it's all gone. And you said something as well. We've talked about, don't take your eyes off the border. Don't forget about the border, because what's transpiring, China is a threat, Manny, not just overseas in Asia,
but here. Yeah.
But here, China is a threat on the Western Hemisphere. They have been buying up land, seaports. Their influence has been spreading in South America, in the Panama Canal zone, and even in Mexico. I was reading, and I spoke with someone who's involved with the economic development here in Del Rio, and there is a highway that runs from Mazatlan, Mazatlan on the western coast of Mexico, Mazatlan. They want to run that highway all the way to the Del Rio Eagle Pass area.
Wow.
And so what's significant about that, Manny, is that the infrastructure here, a highway running from the seaports of Mazatlan to Eagle Pass, Del Rio area, and then on into the interior, would go
all the way
up
to
into
Canada,
Amarillo, and all the way up. Bro, Mazatlan is on the west, which is just a boat ride away from China.
Yeah.
And Chinese influence is already growing on the coast of Mazatlan. It's already Mazatlan. It's already growing in Mexico. And so what I'm saying, folks, is research the growth, the influence of China, not just on the Western Hemisphere. Let's bring it home. Research the influence and growth of China in Mexico. And not only that, we know that they're buying up land here in America. They're buying up real estate left and right. They're affecting our trade as well. The farmers, grow a lot of their crops to sell to China. They're affecting our economy, folks. And so let's not lose, sight of what's going on here. There's a lot of stuff happening, but I guess you could wrap it up in this, Manny. It's about destroying America. They're working to, work on every institution of the American landscape: education, commerce, military, homeland security, technology. Our faith. They're working on every angle to just totally chip away and destroy it, man.
Frank, when you're talking about this superhighway, it brings back memories of when George W. Bush was in office. And I never thought that I'd see it again, because Trump kind of squashed it when he came into office. President Trump kind of squashed when he came into office, this superhighway, because of course Trump was against NAFTA. He was against these programs and these ideas, treaties, that would damage America and take away American jobs. Rightly so. It's America first, but under the Bush administration, he came up with this program. They came up with this program called Security and Prosperity Partnership. I don't know if you remember it. No. It's called Security and Prosperity Partnership, and it's a partnership between United States, Canada, and Mexico. And they want to build a superhighway. And I remember one day reading about it when I was out on midnight shift or whatever, reading the news. And back then we had to read newspapers. Of course, everybody now has their phones, but we used to buy these things called newspapers. You open them up, there's words in there, pictures and whatnot. Yeah. And then after you're done, there's a crossword puzzle, you would do. Anyway, Dear Abby, if you read Dear Abby and find out how everybody's issues were, problems, what. Anyway, but during in that program, they wanted to build a superhighway that was going to come right through Del Rio Eagle Pass area, and and the reason President Trump was against it was because of China. Yeah. Right. And so it was amazing to me that we're seeing that, and that program is actually still somewhere written on the books. Yeah. It's called the Security and Prosperity Partnership, and the reason that name bothered me so much is because when Messiah himself prophesied that people, when in the end of the days, people are going to see peace and prosperity, and then the end will come. Yeah. Right. So this security and prosperity program kind of, in my opinion, was going to develop this false sense of security for people, because it was what they also wanted to work towards a unified monetary system, right? things like that. All these things that you read about, and you've seen these, movies and whatnot, going towards a one world government and all this other stuff, but President Trump, when he came into office, he kind of squashed all that, put that on the back burner, never really took it off the books. But it's amazing to me that we're hearing about it again under this administration. And then what's amazing to me as well, Frank, is that there's a direct link to China through Biden's son. Right, and nobody in the Democratic Party finds this suspicious, right? They don't find this weird that his Biden's son has this direct link and business dealings with China, right? And nobody, but yet China and is one of our worst economic enemies right now at this point, because what's happening, we see how. Have you noticed all the car lots empty?
Oh yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, because of the chips.
Because of the chips, and who produces those chips, right?
China.
So folks, it's all connected, man. I've been watching this this Netflix series, and I can't pull away from it. I don't know why. It drives me nuts.
Which one is that?
Manifest. It's about this plane. This plane that goes through this turbulence. Next thing you know, it lands like 5 years later, right? But the whole point of there's this line in the movie that they use all the time, or the series they use all the time, called "It's all connected," right? It's all connected, right? And then they go through all these, callings, is what they call them, and everything's all connected.
If you could bring that up, Manny, it's at the Del Rio Business Bulletin. And as you're talking, why is it important? Okay, why am I talking all of a sudden? We talked about, politics. We talked about, the death of one of our agents. We talked about, Afghanistan pulling out. And so now we're talking about the border, China. Look, folks, well, part of what I meant to say was that don't put beyond the realm of possibility here that it's just about breaking us economically, breaking us, our immigration system. Folks, don't put outside the realm of possibility invasion. I mean, we've already seen how, and if we've seen it, our enemies, China, Russia, other folks, Iran, the relationship taking place between Iran and Russia, China, they don't lose sight of the fact that 1 million plus unarmed pregnant women and little children can invade our nation, bro. And if unarmed people can just stream across our border, how much more can a prepared, strategically minded, armed nation or group invade our country? And so Manny brought it up here. Let's put it up as we're talking about it. You can see this image here, folks, of the highway that I'm talking about as it runs from Mazatlan, Mexico, and it's going to actually have a prong. It's going to go from Mazatlan into Torreon. From there, it splits into Monterrey, and it goes up into Laredo, and even it could go into Brownsville, McAllen on one end.
There it is.
And the other prong of it, you see it coming up north into Del Rio Eagle Pass. And so from there, they hook up with 35 Laredo, but then they go up north 277, and it goes all the way up north into, Midland, Amarillo, and on north to the Canadian border. So is this something that Frank and Manny are just pulling up out of the sky? No, of course we're not, bro. This is out there, and people need to look at it not just from, look, it's going to bring economic prosperity. Look, folks, our nation is in such a state that I don't know that we will even survive the next,
it's only been 8 months.
8 months into this administration. Gosh. These people are talking, hey, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, it's going to be an economic. Look, we will be fortunate to be the United States that we grew up in here in the next 2 or 3 years, man, let alone 15, 20 years. I know that sounds doom and gloom and, crazy out there. But look, folks, before you start gaslighting me here, it's real. We never thought we would see what we see happening in our lifetime, and it's happening right now. And we threw it up there for folks to see. You can go find it at the Del Rio Business Bulletin on Facebook. You can see this map, and you can see how it's just a path from the seaports of the west coast of Mexico. Where ships, and you've seen them in books and magazines, Manny. These ocean liners that have 8 to 10, 12 stories of these overseas containers.
Right. And how many of them are inspected?
1%.
1% of all those are inspected.
1% inspected by the Department of Homeland Security.
So they could come over with 1,000 crates or
overseas containers.
Containers, right? And only one. Inspected.
One in 10.
1 in 10. You're right. You're 1 in 10. My math is off.
100 out of those 1,000, bro. But
100 of those 1,000.
But those that don't get inspected could have nuclear stuff. They could have, Chinese troops, Chinese weapons. They could have equipment. They could have all kinds of stuff, folks. I mean, they could have, lo and behold, Taliban armed with American weapons coming over, bro.
You're right. Remember years ago, we were getting Chinese illegal aliens off those containers.
And those overseas containers, we see them. I was just in Eagle Pass a couple of days ago. There's a train coming over from Mexico, and what are they bringing across from Mexico? Overseas containers.
Wow.
And these were full of car packs. Because our American companies, our car manufacturers are in Mexico.
And were they switching crews?
Yeah, they were switching crews, but I just found out, bro, that they stopped there to switch because the Mexican crew gets off,
right,
and then the American train crew gets on, and then they bring that train. What they're gonna forego that. American crew members are not gonna be switching out.
Wow.
So Mexican crew is gonna come across the bridge. They'll no longer have to slow and stop there at the bridge to switch out. They'll just come straight from Mexico into the United States.
So our government's gonna trust the Mexican government, right?
Because they're our friends. They're our good friends.
Yeah, one of the most corrupt governments.
Yeah, but they're our friends.
To bring only Mexican crew members, right, over into the United States. How many? Let's say they 10 come over. How many do you think are going to go back? When that train is ready, right? Or what other people from other countries are going to come? How many people are going to infiltrate, even in just that little operation alone?
Yeah, bro, and it's not a slam. Well, we need to be careful, but look. So what I mean by that is this. Money buys you a lot of things. There are people here in this world right now, folks that don't care about the future. They don't care about our prosperity. They don't care about our children's future. All they care about is the almighty buck, the almighty dollar. Let's just get a dollar for right now. If I can be happy with the life I have right now, whatever happens after I die doesn't matter. Whatever happens to my neighbor's children does not matter.
Right.
And so it's conceivable, Manny, that all these things working together, that you would have a Mexican crew, that says, I like the way these, $50,000 looks in my hand, or $5,000, whatever. You want to throw whatever containers in the back of this train? I ain't gonna check it.
And the reason I say what I said, Frank, is because based on experience, when I've interviewed illegal aliens, OTMs that have come from whatever countries they've come from, once they hit the Mexican border, many times we would ask them, did you come with un permiso, un sin permiso, right, with a permit or without a permit, right? And you have to buy a permit. And 9 times out of 10, what was the answer? Sin permiso, without a permit. So how did you get into it? I paid the officials.
Yeah.
Right? And so 9 times out of 10, folks, I can tell you, and you can ask just about any Border Patrol agent that's interviewed any OTM, that once they come in from Central America to Mexico, the 9 times out of 10, they're paying the immigration officials to enter.
Yeah.
Right? And that's been going on, folks, ever since I came in the Border Patrol 25 years ago, that this was going on.
And now that process has just been so, changed up with the role of the cartels and their involvement with all this. That's what we have been talking about. Biden administration is not going to do anything. Look, folks, you need to wake up. You need to stop blaming the Biden administration for this illegal alien invasion and for everything that's going on.
We can't forget that we have a governor that's not doing anything.
Exactly. When the federal government starts breaking down, then it comes down to states' rights. And what are the states going to do to protect their own citizenry? What are the states going to do to protect their own, population? And so that's something that we've been, definitely not shy about, Manny, is calling out Governor Abbott. In a sense, he's probably a little bit relieved that all this is going on because it brings heat off of him with the border, everything that was taking place. All of a sudden, nobody's talking about the border,
right?
Except a few guys like you and I here. But the invasion's still taking place, and now you've got to take into account this geopolitical developments, from even around the world.
Yeah.
At some point, they're already impacting us. The Afghan refugees are already being flown into America, into Texas.
Yeah.
So in that sense, folks, politics are local, and the decisions, the events that are impacting American life have been the result of politicians, the result of the decisions made by politicians. And so why do we talk so much about politics? Because they affect our life, man.
Yeah.
And in this case, they're affecting our future. They're affecting our very existence. The decisions these people are making are affecting the existence not just of us, but of America as a whole, man. I mean, and so, people need to wake up. They need to wake up. It's great to, have a barbecue. It's great to, your kids to be playing soccer. It's great that American life is going on, but at the same time, we cannot be, sticking our heads in the sand.
Yeah, you can't get complacent.
Yeah, bro. About what and ignorant, willfully ignorant.
Yeah.
Willfully ignoring
Yeah.
what's taking place, man. Because like you said, peace and prosperity. Everybody's having a good time. The days of Noah, they were being wed and given away in marriage.
Yeah.
They're living life. And then disaster struck.
And it's funny because that program, that's why it bothered me so much, because there's another, it's called the Security and Prosperity Program, SPMP, and what's amazing to me, Frank, is another word for security is peace.
Yes.
So that's what struck me. That when Messiah said, in the end days, people will be saying peace and prosperity, and then the end will come, and that's basically the whole focus of this, is just to give this security and prosperity, to the nation, actually to the world. But it's amazing because you were talking about being willfully ignorant. I was talking to my daughter. She's in her 20s. We were talking over the weekend, and she lives in San Antonio. And she was telling me, over dinner, her and her husband came down and had dinner with us, and we're talking all about all this. And she says, Dad, it's amazing to me that a lot of my friends have no idea what is happening. And she said that she was at a dinner discussion with some of her friends, and she asked them, hey, so did you hear what happened in Afghanistan? They're like, well, what happened in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
And she's like, are you really?
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You're even telling me that there were some people who didn't even know that that were in Louisiana.
Yeah,
right?
We're watching the news because we got some concerns, about what, of course, obviously with the hurricane. Anyways, so they're interviewing this guy, and he says, "Yeah, I'm down here with my dad. He's elderly. Take care of him. So I'm calling up north, northern Louisiana, to see where we can go." And they're like, hurricane? What hurricane? People in Louisiana didn't even know that a Category 4 hurricane was headed their way. And that just kind of, Manny, just accentuates what we're talking about, man. That just there's people in this country that are just so oblivious to the guillotine, the axe that is hanging over their necks, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, they're people need to wake up. I mean, that's all I can say is people need to wake up. When you got a government that is actively working against you, you've got the politicians. You can no longer say, "Well, I'm not interested in politics. They have nothing to do with me." Really? I mean, they're impacting every aspect of our lives, bro.
They are, and the thing is too is I talk to a lot of people. I'm a congregational leader. I'm a senior rabbi here in Del Rio, the Messianic Jewish congregation, and what amazes me as well, Frank, is I talk to a lot of people who are people of faith that say, well, my faith compels me not to get involved in politics. And my answer is your faith should compel you to get involved in these things. I mean, the Bible is replete with example after example of leaders, of men of faith, men and women of faith. Deborah, she was a judge. We have Nehemiah, who was a governor. David was a king. All these, Daniel, who was an advisor to the king. All these examples of people of faith being involved in politics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, God used kings, man. I mean, he lamented. He said, "Okay, Israel, you would rather have a king than God, right?" So he allowed them to have a king.
Right.
And yeah, Seth, I saw that comment where there were a couple of agents that were arrested. It seems like for smuggling illegal aliens. That doesn't surprise me. People will sell their souls for money, folks, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. Is that we have in our country right now people that all they care about is the next dollar for that day.
Right.
And they're selling out our nation. So it's time for patriots. It's time for people that believe in the ideals of our nation, that we are a Judeo-Christian nation, that our Constitution is one of the greatest works of freedom ever written, that the principles that formed our nation are true and are effective when used in the right way. You need to stand up.
Yeah.
You need to stand up. You need to get involved because our nation is hanging in the balance. I mean, I don't know, man. Are we already on the downhill slide? Is that bus already going off the cliff and sliding, Manny? I don't know.
People ask me all the time about what I feel about if the government's going to start taking over, and of course they're already making those plans. I think Biden has, it's amazing to me that over 64,000 arms have been given over to the Taliban, and yet they're trying to take away arms here in the United States from average citizens. But I still think I still believe, Frank, that there's still people within our government that will fight. That will stand up. It's not a lot, sadly.
It's not a lot.
Right.
There are some folks. I mean, you got some military leaders that, like this lieutenant colonel that just stepped down. I'm sure there's a lot of other folks that see it that way. They're concerned about what's going. They know that the political correct, ideology is destroying our nation. They know that being woke is really just lulling us into a sleep of death is what that's doing. And so, people do need to wake up and, get involved at the local level. There were so many slots here in Del Rio alone that were up for a re-election, and folks, I don't know if they're going to get involved or not. I've reached out and made the call. But I see some people get involved with the school board. You were talking about the federal government. Is it really getting that, that powerful? Yeah. Several states just said we will not have mask mandates in our school districts, to include Texas. But the federal government has a Department of Education of all people to look into this. They're looking into whether those mask mandates are legal. The federal government reaching down and telling the state what they're going to do, that's not constitutional.
No, you're right.
There are some limits to federal government, and whatever was not enumerated in the Constitution, that authority, that power was given to the states. Sadly, what happens is you get governors like Greg Abbott that allow the state their sovereignty to get stepped on by the federal government, and they don't put up a fight. Greg Abbott's not putting up a fight as the federal government just grows increasingly stronger and exerting more of its power and influence here in Texas. We need to be concerned about that.
We do. Texas is a stronghold.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it, Manny, is, bro, if the federal government starts getting really despotic, tyrannical with people, you would think, well, hey, it ain't going to happen in Texas, man. Us Texans aren't going to put up, man. With the leadership we have, I mean, look at our state legislature and just the way that they've been conducting the business of the people at the state house, man. I mean, I have no confidence confidence in our elected officials.
There are some people that are running for office as well that we know personally that believe in America, still believe in America. Hopefully, we're going to have them on the show here in the next couple of weeks. One is Audra Johnson, right, out of Michigan.
Out of Michigan,
right. We want to hopefully have her on the show. We got Raul Reyes, who I believe is going to be running again.
It seems
like it. I hope he does. I hope he throws his hat in the ring as well. And so, but there's other folks. There's other people. We got Lieutenant Colonel Alan West running for governor. Don Huffines, right, and Prather, running for governor here in the state of Texas, who believe firmly in America first. So we're not telling you who to vote for, but at the same time, I've had enough with Abbott. I really have. And but folks, we got people that still care about America. And it's important, that you get involved as well, and even if you don't want to go out there and film or do any citizen reporting, email us, let us know, what's happening out there. Frank is not shy about going out there and letting the local community know what's happening. Let me know. We'll write some articles or whatever, get the word out, or put it on our program. There's other people out there that are Rising Texan, right?
Yeah. Isaac Ruiz.
We have Anthony over there in the valley.
Anthony Aguero is out of El Paso,
right.
Working up and down the border. There's Oscar Blue, I forget his last name right now, out of California, but he's been down in Mexico, bro. So he's doing something that's really cool. He's going into Mexico, and so you need to look for Oscar L. Blue, E.L. Blue, the blue. Anyways, he's down in Mexico reporting on the stuff that's coming up from Mexico. And real quick, you said something. Let's not let this one slide by real quick. So there's a guy down in Eagle Pass, Isaac Ruiz, and so he started up a little citizen journalist kind of outlet, the Rising Texan News Network, and so he asked some questions. Related to property taxes. Everybody's property taxes are going up, but this one particular person's property taxes are going down, and so he asked, hey, why is this business not, why is it that they are actually the anomaly here, the standout? And so he got sued, bro.
What?
He got sued for asking questions. It's wrapped up in this, it's slander, it's libel, you're disparaging the name of my company. But the fact of the matter is, when you got facts, you put them out there. And,
right.
and so Isaac put out the property tax appraisal, information.
Which is public information.
Which is public. Anybody can go access that. And so he's been sued by his state representative, Eddie Morales. And
wow.
Yeah, so, First Amendment, bro, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom to, redress your grievances with your officials, to bring up your concerns. So he got slapped, man, with a lawsuit. And so that should just kind of wake people up. Whenever you say something you don't like, expect to get retaliated, folks. Expect for heat to come down. And in this case, the lawsuit was filed in the district judge's office, which is kind of here's the little connection.
That's interesting.
Well, check this out, Manny. So Mr. Morales filed this lawsuit in, I think it's a 163rd, 183rd, something like that, 193rd District Court out of Eagle Pass, Maverick County. Maida is her first name. I forget her last name. I don't want to misquote Delegadas, I think it is. But anyways, so what happens? It turns out somebody went and did some digging, and this state representative donated, I think, $2,500 to her campaign. And so he went and filed a lawsuit in her court against a citizen journalist. She should have recused herself.
Wow.
That judge should have said, no, you know what? I'm just going to recuse myself. You donated to my campaign. This appears a bit inappropriate.
Wow. Wow. This is like stuff right out of a movie, bro. It's amazing. Like you can't make this stuff up, as the common verbiage is.
Yeah.
But folks, we're about to close here on our show. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. We do have a website. I'm just going to put it up here real quick so you can go visit us at tacoboutlive.com. We have on there, we'll have on there our broadcast, our podcast as well. You can download, we'll have some articles here. More are coming up soon. You can email us, talkaboutitlive@gmail.com with your questions. Go visit us, folks. Let us know, leave some comments and whatnot. Also, we're on Rumble as well. We should be broadcasting on Rumble here live today as well. Maybe making the move away from Facebook completely here soon, because one of the reasons too, Frank, is that it's harder it seems like we're being restricted on our reach. We used to be able to reach like hundreds of people, and now it's like in the teens and whatnot. It's weird. I say it's weird, but but things are happening, folks. But again, we want to thank you so much for joining us here today. Folks, there's a lot going on. You can get involved. Please get involved. Again, email us with your concerns, with your comments, with your questions. We'll be happy to get back with you. Frank, you got anything closing before?
That's it, bro.
All right. Well, we want to say, God bless you. God bless America. God bless Texas. We'll be back next Tuesday, God willing, 8 a.m., Taco Tuesday, here on Taco About It Live. So, again, thank you for joining us here at Taco About It Live with Frank and Manny. And let me get my outro. I didn't put in my intro today, Frank. So
you didn't?
Yeah, I didn't, man. I forgot I just went in from the countdown straight into us talking. But anyway, so we'll talk to you soon. God bless you. God bless America.
God bless y'all. Take care.
God bless Texas.